Hey guys, welcome to Unit 4, Lesson 2. Our topic today is graphing polar coordinates. So try the warm-up on your own and pause the video. Okay, so the warm-up says sketch each of the following angles in the correct quadrant. Before I move into sketching them, I'm just going to rewrite it, what quadrants they're in. This is quadrant 3. Negative angle means what you're going in the opposite direction. So it would be in the first quadrant. Right, n pi over 4, it is also 9 pi over 4 is in the first quadrant, and negative 3 pi over 4 has to be in the third quadrant. Quadrant 1, I didn't write quadrant 1. So let's do 7 pi over 6. 7 pi over 6 is something here, so that's what it would be like. Actually, it's more closer to the x-axis. So that's your 7 pi over 6. Right, I'm going to try to do these in different colors. Negative 5 pi over 3. So since it's negative, it's going to be something like this. It's right. And then 9 pi over 4. Remember, 8 pi over 4 is 2 pi, so it's basically this. Right, it's a little messy, but I'm just trying to fit everything in. And negative 3 pi over 4. I'm going to use the black, signature black. So I'm going to go here. Actually, it's going to be, this is more than that. Okay, so those were your 4 angles. So that's how you sketch them. I'm sure you all did a great job. Rectangular coordinates x and y are useful for expressing functions of y in terms of x. Curves that are not functions are often more easily expressing in an alternative coordinate system called the polar coordinates. So what you can't express in the rectangular system, you use polar coordinates for that. A polar coordinate system has the traditional x and y axis, where the intersection of these axes, the old origin, is now called the pole. Very important to remember because we'll be using the term a lot. Then each point in the plane can be assigned polar coordinates r, theta. So you're no more working with x and y, where r is the directed distance from the pole and x is the directed angle. So let's get started with the first question. It says plot each of the following polar coordinates and then find 3 additional polar representations of the point between where theta is between negative 2 pi and 2 pi. The first example, so let's talk about this. How do we plot these polar coordinates, right? So the point, whenever we given a point in polar coordinate, the first number represents your r, which is your directed distance, and pi over 4 is your angle, theta. So let's plot that. You always start with your angle. So my angle is pi over 4. And the directed distance, you basically start from your pole, which is the origin, and you're going to go 4 out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is your point. But I need 3 additional ways to represent that, right? So when I went pi over 4, this was my counterclockwise direction. What happens if I go in the clockwise direction? I'll end up in the same place, but my angle will be different, which would be what? Negative 7 pi over 4. So my second point would be 4. I didn't change the direction of my radius, so and then it would be negative 7 pi over 4. Now I just want to erase these so it's easier. Our point is still there, right? What happens if I go on the opposite side of the axis? My r changes from positive to negative, and my angle will be what? 5 pi over 4. And that's in counterclockwise direction. If I went in clockwise direction, 5 pi over 4 is same thing as negative 3 pi over 4. So this is how I show my another 3 additional polar representations. Basically, if I was to summarize this, which I want to do it in red, can I say it's going to be r, theta plus or minus 2 pi, right? That's how we got the point. Or negative r theta plus and minus just pi. So that's the generalized form of it. So my question here says, this is my r. Always recommend writing r comma theta, at least for the initial part. Negative, again, start with your angle. Negative 5 pi over 6. Where's negative 5 pi over 6? It is right here. So, and it's negative 2 means I'm in the opposite direction. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction from the pole out. So that's where my point is. Right? So now let's do another. Negative 5 pi over 6 is same thing as what? 7 pi over 6, right? That would be my one representation. The other would be, if I'm in the other side, this was negative. If I go to the other side, that would be 2 comma pi over 6. Pi over 6 is same thing as negative 11 pi over 6. So my other representation would be 2 comma negative 11 pi over 6. You can either use the formula or just use the picture to find where you are. If you like to draw the line and then, like, you know, go 180 degrees in the opposite direction and figure those angles out, it's totally up to you. Finish the remaining problem set. Good luck.